Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. Today it's a 2 vs 2 on rails and metal between our allied team that consists of the yellow US Forces player CaptainSPrice and our blue Russian player that consists of ILoveYouAll. And down on the bottom we have our German team, our pink Wehrmacht player XSudden, and our red OKW player up yonder, Siu-King. And it is rails and metal, a relatively thin, small map. Fuel point, munitions point, or rather the victory point on the right. Munitions points are in the center on either side of the victory point, as usual. And victory point and a fuel point on the left side as well. And rear echelon troops not hesitating to make those tank traps for green cover up at the fuel point. No engagements just yet, putting some razor wire in front of the very important piece of cover right here that consists of this truck. It is very good to stand in front of and battle everybody around the area here. And an MG42 inside the trench. And the first shot's fired here. Who's gonna get first blood? Most likely the Allies by the looks of it here. The Pioneer is about to get surrounded, or at least a crescent shape around them. The Pioneers gather cover behind, but are outnumbered completely by several squads, so they have to bail out of there. Volksgrenadiers making some sandbags as quickly as possible before the Allies get to them, and they do complete it. As you do have a receiving accuracy increase when you are building something. You take a lot more shots. And the Allies so far securing the left side of the map. And going to be making even more tank traps over there, holding that off for now. And another MG42 is set up over here with the MG42 from the trench set up behind the truck. And some Pinot battalions trying to get around. Looks like they're just outside of the fire now. Should be able to get up in just a moment.
Pioneers ready for assignment.
And now tons of Volksgrenadiers here pouring in. Some Sturm Pioneers in behind. Going to get up in close business here. And another MG42 from the Wehrmacht has now moved on over behind the truck. The other one back to the house. So far, Rifleman holding out from the suppression of the MG42 with that green cover. But don't think it's going to last particularly long here. And they are going to have to retreat on out of there now. And some Pinot battalions inside the house way back there, just waiting for something to come along. Pinot battalions over here as well, dealing with the MG42. And 3 MG42s for the Wehrmacht. And on the right side here, MG42s are extremely lethal and very, very effective. It's just so small, you don't really have any way to get around the MG42s. Pinot battalion's trying to crawl away from the fire now and should be able to get out of that arc of fire before the pin occurs. And Riflemen forcing back the Pioneers, grabbing that munitions point and going all the way into German territory here, grabbing that first territory point. So far, the Allies doing fairly well here. 492 to 487. Germans losing just by a little bit. But now about to grab that second victory point there. And now the Pinot Battalion's forced to retreat away from the Raketenwerfer. And I think they got into range of that bunker there. And now, unfortunately, they're going to have to run past a lot of stuff and take some shots here. Volksgrenadier is going to try and get a couple extra kills. Down to 2 men in the squad, but I think he'll make it home just fine. And there's a shoe mine in the middle of the road there. Meanwhile, the left side still pretty much dominated by the Allies. No contest for the Germans over there. A couple sandbags ghosted here. And going to make them double thick so that the Allies can't get past there. Make it run all the way around or run around the other side there, cutting off a little bit of the options of the Allies. And Schwerer Wehrmacht Schlepper moving on in here. And a 222 already out in the field, now moving after the Rifleman here.
Lieutenant has been assigned to field ops.
And now going to see cover behind the wall, but doesn't quite have that green cover. And even more Riflemen now firing on the 222. No Riflemen will level 1 veterancy, so no anti-tank rifle grenade going to be hitting that 222 anytime soon. And the MG42 is just all over the place. Allies having a hard time getting into that center or right side victory point. Another MG42 still shown here behind the green cover of the car. And riflemen forced on out of there. Multiple riflemen in retreat. Looks like all of CaptainSPrice is in retreat except for pretty much his lieutenant, which is now just coming out of the base, so that's not a shocker. So all of his riflemen and the rear Russian troop currently retreating, so that's going to give the Germans a huge time frame here to actually grab a few extra points. And Russia now coming on back in with a bunch of Pinot battalions all over the place. And with the recent bust of Pinot battalions, they are just so good now, especially after that 1-star veterancy when they get to the last man. And then really start doing some big damage. Every man that is removed from the squad or dies from the squad actually does even more damage, so the more dangerous they become. And so far, 222 doing pretty well here, 4 kills, but almost no veterancy, which is very strange. Well, actually has 1-star veterancy, never mind. It juked me out just a little bit there. Has 1-star veterancy, none into level 1, just now starting to gain some here, and collected some veterancy from the Pinot battalions. Pinot battalions decide to get out of the house for a little bit more firepower. Only 2 windows, 1 window at a time. We're really facing that 222. So decides to back that off. Rear echelon troops with a bazooka. Forces the 222 out of there, but 222 doesn't really have a problem with that. Just shooting on its way, gaining even more veterancy. Now a huge blob of U.S. troops moving towards the right side, but it's kind of hard not to blob on this map to some degree, as it's just so skinny.
Just took the battlefield.
And there is a MG right here, so going right there would pretty much result in an instant suppression. So really don't blame him for bringing all of his troops over here. Maybe take these troops, and he may continue moving on and trying to grab some additional territory, but no, it's just sort of leaving them all up there. Maybe he's microing at the moment, bringing down a mortar for the U.S. forces, and a captain now out in the field for the U.S. as well. The Russian bringing out a T-70 to deal with that 222. So as soon as that T-70 is out, that 222 is going to have a big problem. 251 half-track out on the field as well. And just now getting that flame projector. MG element ready. Another MG very stealthily hidden in all of this bush. Ready to suppress all these troops here, and really the U.S. right now is sort of in a bad spot. There's an MG pretty much facing everywhere. And like I said, the MGs on this map are just incredibly effective, especially MG42s and 34s with their incredibly wide arc of fire. Just covers such a huge area of the map. And now the mortar coming down and hits the MG42. MG42 gonna back out of there as soon as possible here. Gonna take another loss down to a small sliver of health. One more round may finish that MG42 off, but now running away. And shouldn't take any more damage. Now the T-70 is out on the map in the back there. Nearly takes lethal damage. Took a Raketin to the face. And will now have to back off and repair up. And just so much action going on. So hard to capture this. This is a pretty action-packed game here. And now all of the U.S. here pouring into the center. Now that that MG's gone. And so good job getting rid of that with that mortar. A couple lucky hits forced that out of there. MG here going to displace a little bit. Now going to face towards the U.S. And the center victory point now in a little bit of trouble here. We should be able to get that no problem before this MG suppresses. And I'm not even sure if they're in range. Looks he's just out of range there. Here's out of this house. He's blocking the vision, which I think it is. And now the Russians here are going to be moving towards the point on the far left. And looks like an ISG here firing away at some of the troops. 222 now being repaired up. And it could be a pretty valuable 222 as long as this is kept around for a little while here. Nearly a level 2 veteran 222. And guard rifles now out on the field for the Russians. And guard rifles going to get inside the house here. May take a couple whacks at this 222. 222 about to get peppered up a little bit by those PPRS, but looks like he jukes that with an incendiary grenade, forces those guard rifles on out of there. They decide to get back in for a moment, but the fire there is going to give them a lot of trouble. Throws a grenade, doesn't do too much, a little bit of damage to the stern pioneers, and the guards did not pay off that time around. Almost lost the entire squad. And now the American in retreat here. to bring back that ambulance just a little bit. It was a little bit too far up ahead in the battlefield. Dangerous situation for the ambulance. And now the captain has to back off triple Volksgrenadiers. A little bit too much for him to handle. And I'm going to be repairing up that ambulance with those rear echelons. And still 2 victory points to 1 at the moment. However, this victory point not going to last much longer. Pioneer on there right now. And now the mortar is in range of fire, so I'm going to have to back that up just a little bit. Probably could be just fine behind the tank there. And T-70 moving forward here.
T-70 light tank has arrived.
And moving around with vision. Now gets back inside that turret and is moving along. Not too much over here. We got some Pioneers in here moving up that the T-70 could harass and force back to the base. Looks like a second T-70 is out in the field all the way in the back. And a Stewart is now in the field. So now quite a bit of armor for the Allies. So we'll see how that works out for them. And that is definitely what they need right now. As there isn't a lot of anti-tank out in the field. I do see a Rakettenwerfer, but I think that might be just about it, other than the, no, 2 Pak-40s now. And 1 Pak-40 now just brought up 1 on the far right. So there is quite a bit of anti-tank for the Germans, which I didn't quite notice until I actually really looked for it. And use that on me ability to break that suppression. And then moving on back to that ambulance. T-70 here trying to finish off that Pioneer. Don't think it's going to make it. And now T-70 versus 222. And 222 taking quite a bit of shots here, but now a Pak-40 is rolling up. It's going to cover this whole road lane here. Now the aft track was getting a little bit of vision, trying to see if that Pak-40 could get a shot or 2 in on it. Doesn't look like that's really going to happen, as the T-70 is going to be backing out of there now. MG42 now running away, got a little bit flanked there. And another MG42 here firing on all these troops. And MG's just so effective on this map. And I really think this is a very Axis-oriented map with the MG42 and 43. And the Vickers, to some degree, is pretty effective as well, but the MG42 just comes out so much earlier than all the machine guns with that high arc of fire, or rather wide arc of fire, and it's just super effective from the beginning to the end. And T-70 here trying to decrew this Pak-40, not going to happen though, and loses the T-70 to a mine, runs over a mine, didn't even see that mine. Shoe mines randomly placed on the road here, another shoe mine there, below the victory point. And this Pinot Battalion will not make it out of there, lose the Pinot Battalion to the Germans. And now we got multiple mortars, 3 mortars for the US. And there is a bazooka laying on the ground as well. Oh, this rear echelon gotta pick that up. Why not? And they grab that. But they don't make it out of there. They immediately get wrecked. And the Stewart now lost as well. So now just 1 T-70 for the armor for our allies left on the map.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
And T-70 now moving way too close to these Volksgrenadiers, and they're definitely going to take a Panzerfaust, or at least enough shots, lethal shots from these Rakettenwerfers, and I think the Panzerfaust actually finished it off there, so that was definitely not a wise decision to just simply run through there. And Pinot Battalion's now running away, 2 machine guns in their face. I think he was about to throw a satchel charge, perhaps in that building. There was just way too many machine guns, and it doesn't look like he actually has the munitions for the satchel charge. Only had about 20 at the time. Riflemen and the Volksgrenadiers going at it. Volksgrenadiers down pretty low. Only 1 rifle in there. A couple STGs. And the Riflemen success that time around. MG42 has been brought up, and now using incendiary rounds to do additional damage here, but he's going to have to pick this up and run away, so some of the incendiary round a little bit wasted there, but did enough damage, and now going to have to run on home.
Are securing our territory.
Now the Germans in a fairly dominant position, still trying to get that victory point. 399 for the Allies, 453 for the Germans. And now the rifleman here moving on in on those Vulture Grenadiers, forces them out of there. Incendiary Grenade, though, does a little bit of damage to all the squads. And may be able to actually decrew this ISG here. That would be fairly nice to get that out of the way. And looks like one of them slipped on that shoe mine. I think only took out one, maybe two men. And now extremely low rifleman here, and they're about to take another shot and almost lost multiple squads. And now desperately trying to get back to that ambulance. Doesn't have a major round on the field, so can't retreat to the ambulance. So really just has to make the long trek on home to it. To reinforce, Penal Battalion's now at the building here. Could throw a satchel charge in that building just to actually get it out of the way, collapse the building, and then make sure the Germans don't use that against him anymore. Sometimes that was my choice to just sort of chuck a satchel battalion or satchel charge. Oh my God, tucking is so hard today. And there goes the satchel charge, but it lands all over themselves. I don't know what that was all about. That was weird. I think he actually tried to throw it across here, but then it just the computer just sort of landed it there. Very interesting indeed. But sometimes I'll get rid of a building if my opponent is using it a little bit too much against me and doesn't really benefit me all that much, as it benefits the Germans a lot more than it does the other way around. And now there's a Panzer IV out on the field for the Wehrmacht.
Is taking our territory.
And we'll see if I can talk properly for the rest of the replay. That would be a challenge and an achievement. And on the right side here, Pioneers grabbing the territory point all the way up in the Allied territory. And here comes the Stuka barrage, hits them hard, and there was a lot of stuff in that area. That was an easy mode Stuka. And got 8 kills in that one barrage there from that. And that was just sort of a Stuka waiting to happen. And now the Panzer IV here giving big trouble to the Allies. Need a 57 out of the field to deal with this. And it looks like he's going to be bringing out M10 Wolverines here, so the M10 now in the field to try and deal with that Panzer IV. Which I'm not going to bother with a 57 this time around. Card rifles here are going to pepper up that Panzer IV a little bit. So now Panzer IV pretty low. M10 could probably get at it, but there was just so much stuff. So much anti-tank in the back. And now the Panzer IV is going to be making it to safety. Now definitely not going to be able to get to that Panzer IV. 2 Raketenwerfers set up here. And if that M10 shows its face to those Raketenwerfers, could 3-shot that M10. I think it would take 3 shots. And now Penal Battalion guard rifles here are going to be shooting away the Pioneers. And Pioneers sticking around a little bit here, going to delay the Russians. Probably forgot about those troops up there, but it did delay them a little bit. And now the M10 here has showed its face, and now the Back 40 setting up here. Back 40 about to whack it, and takes a shot. Yeah, it might take more than 3 Raketenwerfer shots, but either way, the M10 still is technically kind of made of paper.
We are losing a sector.
And I figure the Raketenwerfers could camouflage up that way and possibly take out that M10. And still 2 victory points for the Germans, only 1 for the Allies. 384 to 443. And here comes the Stuka now, going to be barraging the area. And where is it going to be hitting? There's a huge group of troops. It is about to get all kinds of nasty. And it barely missed them. And it got a little bit of kills. It had 8 kills, and now it has 12. So it got 4 there. Not too bad. And if it had been a little bit more forward, it would have gotten a huge chunk of troops. It would have probably been a GG Stuka hit. And he keeps just simply moving the ambulance back, and now that just means that this Stuka, all it has to do is just go forward a little bit more, and then launch.
Standby to decipher communications from enemy armor. Assault gun ready for action.
And now the ISG here firing away. Not sure what it was really firing at. Maybe the guard rifle. Battalion's now moving forward here. Could throw a satchel at these troops here. Possibly get a hit on it, but they take too much damage too quickly. as some fairly high veterancy Bolts Grenadiers there did a little bit too much damage to him. Now the guard rifles instant suppressed by double MGs. And again, this is exactly why I said just throw a satchel charge in this building, even if there's no troops in it, just to get rid of the building. And here he goes now throwing a satchel charge, and that should take the building completely out. And loses an MG42, so very good there, taking that out. And not that he couldn't put an MG42 near there, but it's still a lot easier to have an MG42 in a building so that it changes direction easily and automatically. Flamethrower there on the ground. If any of those troops feel like picking that up. And the U.S. grabbing the munitions point going forward, getting that forward territory point for the Germans as well. Now the Sturm Tiger out on the field, and we'll see if we can get some huge kills going with the Sturm Tiger or not. Stuka still at 12 kills and ready to go again just as soon as he sees another hardy blob to hit. Panzer IV sneaking up a little bit as well, ready to get something, but there's not too much over there. Could shoo these riflemen away from this point with that Panzer IV. So right now our OKW player really just heavy anti-infantry and anti-tank with multiple ISGs, multiple Rakettenwerfers, and also has a Sturm Tiger and a Stuka. So just really, really ready to be that utility OKW. There go all 6 of those missiles, and incoming here, and it's going to be a good hit, and that is just savage. And our Stuka is a 2-star veteran with 26 kills. I believe it just got 14 kills there. So that is absolutely huge for the OKW. To replace 14 men with this low of manpower is just going to take so long, and so much manpower is not going to be able to get anything else for a while now. And now here comes the Sturm Tiger, protected by the Panzer IV. However, the M10 is right there. And is he going to launch? He is going to launch and doesn't hit anything. Not really sure what that was all about. Bolts Grenadiers there taking the flamethrower. And immediately, actually, now we have an Su-85 in the field for the Russians. And looks like a T-34 on the way for the Russians as well. The guard rifles here defending the area, but incoming Panzer Grenadiers with a flamethrower. So it's almost kind of like urban assault. Even though the urban assault Panzer Grenadiers technically don't have STGs, they have MP40s, and they get double flamethrowers with the upgrade. And so now we have a Panzer Grenadier squad with a flamethrower, a PTRS rifle, and 2 STGs. Very, very interesting combination there. Su-85 main gun destroyed by multiple Rakettenwerfers. And right now, Germans really just handling these allies quite well. So some good skill going on here, but again, the MG42s on this map are just so amazing. And here we go with another hit with the Stuka. Takes out a couple of those mortars, and not sure how many kills were there. 32 kills now. So took out quite a bit in that last barrage. An additional 6 kills there for the Stuka. And now here comes the Panzer 34, or T-34, Panzer 34. Well, technically the Germans did take some T-34s, and they did rename them to pretty much the, I can't remember what they actually called it. It was like the Panzer Kampfwagen T-34 or something or other. But either way, they did actually take some of those T-34s. The T-34 is just a really great overall tank. Didn't really get stuck all that often, all that such. Just plain good tank. Nothing really all that special about it. Nothing really that bad about it. And that's the problem with the German tanks, is that there was a lot of special to them in the sense that they were heavier than all the other armies and such. But then they were really bad because they get stuck all the time, or they would break down all the time. And that's something you really got to take into consideration with a tank. And loses the T-70. I think that was a mine that it ran over. And now the Allies starting to get pretty low here. The Russian player only a few troops left in an Su-85, whereas Sprice getting fairly low himself. However, the Wehrmacht and the OKW don't really have all that many units, just really using their units quite well. So I think Sprice actually has the most units in terms of at least infantry. But so far they really haven't been paying off all that well. And now bringing that 251 here, takes an anti-tank rifle grenade and a mortar. And so now pretty low here, may get lost to the M10. M10 misses though. And M10 runs over a mine now. Critical engine damage. And we'll have to use that repair critical here. Be able to get that out of there. Their repairs of the engine now will be able to back up and repair it later. Gonna try and take out that Pack 40 before he makes it out of there, but don't think it's gonna happen. And now here comes the Panzer 4 Blitzkrieg. Going strong here, now going after the Su-85. Su-85 unable to defend itself, going after the M10 instead, which is probably the wiser bet. Here goes the Su-85 trying to block the Panzer 4. Does block the Panzer 4, but loses the Su-85 in the process. One shot and that M10 is going down, and the Raketenwerfer is now coming up as well, so that M10 is going to have to really bail out of there here soon. And on the right side, grabbing that right side victory point, picked up an MG42 with the Pino Battalion. Now 283 to 443, gonna salvage the wreck there of the Su-85 and gets himself a little bit of fuel for that. And Panzer 4 here being repaired up by the Mechanized Regiment headquarters, and another Panzer 4 on the map. Looks like an Ostwind is coming as well. Now the Germans here developing quite the arsenal of armor, and looks like the Stuka was lost at some point, and it was. So that is a shame for the Germans, but he certainly got his money worth out of it, and the Sturm Tiger pretty much one-shots that Sherman Bulldozer. And the Sherman Bulldozer did take a shot or two from the Raketenwerfer, so it wasn't quite a one-shot, but that was quite the amount of damage on that Bulldozer there. And now the Sturm Tiger up to only 3 kills, but one of the kills at least was a tank, so that's always good. And now the Ostwind here moving on in. Panzer Grenadiers here moving all over those guards. Guards forcing to run. 2 Panzer IVs now on the back. And now a triple star guard rifle here. Gonna get inside the house and ping up the Panzer IVs a little bit. There is an MG42 in there. Could pop those incendiary rounds, but needs level 1 veterancy first. And could be doing decent damage in this Panzer IV with guard rifle and incendiary rounds, but no level 1 veterancy. And now the guards here are gonna be switching to the other house. And now going to get some rear shots perhaps on the Panzer IV there. And a little bit more damage, but the M10 now backing it forward its life, and don't think it's going to make it out of there. Another M10 here coming from the side, and it's going to be able to shoot some of these Panzer IVs in the back, but there's another Panzer IV here from the OKW. So it took out one, but just simply got replaced by another one. And this is that M10, so both M10s down. So now no more armor for the US once again. The Su-85 here now coming along, but the Su-85 is getting pummeled by Pack 40 and multiple Raketenwerfers. The Su-85 is pretty much screwed. Su-85 goes down as well. Guard rifle is going to try to get inside the house there, and one shot that Panzer IV. One more shot from a PTRS would take that out. And now trying to take out the Ostwind here. 2 PTRS left in this squad. Actually, it looks like just 1 PTRS, and now our allies GG out, leaving the Germans the winner. So Sudden and Siu-King the winner of the game. Very, very nice. And I just think that the MG42s are just so good on this map. I think they needed to counter the MG42s way, way earlier. And it's just so hard to do. I think our Russian player maybe needed to get 1 or 2 mortars for himself. 1 or 2 mortars over here, and then our ally, our US, with a couple mortars over here would have made a world of difference, I think. And it's just a simple fact that the MG42s were just so prevalent in the beginning. Our Wehrmacht had 3 MG42s in the first few minutes of the game, and I think maybe if he would have gone a commander with 120s maybe, and would have been able to take out these MG42s, that would have opened up these areas a lot more for our allies. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I will see you guys next time.